Even with 3 guilty verdicts against the officer charged in George Floyd's death, some say Black Americans still feel threatened. In fact, Black gun ownership is up 60%, according to the National Shooting Sports Foundation, and some say that's in response to continued violence against that community. Another response, a new Black militia group. I sat down with its founder to find out why he started the group, which is growing in numbers and popularity.
I have a very hard time explaining to my child about the bygone era of lynching, when there's suspicion that a lynching just happened. When we start seeing the Ahmaud Arbery case, where white men hunted down a Black man and killed him.
John Johnson, better known by his former DJ name Grandmaster Jay, is the supreme commander of the NFAC, the Not Effing Around Coalition, a Black militia.
We're not having the lies. We're not having the unequal administration of justice anymore. We're not existing under the conditions that have been set by another race that do nothing but hamstring us and are detrimental to our very existence. We're not having it anymore. I didn't form the group. The group was formed out of necessity based on the environment and the pressures being exacted upon the Black population.
Founded in 2020, Johnson claims the NFAC has become a global force, helping push the investigations into the killings of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. DePaul University professor Thomas McCadis told NBC News that the NFAC is different from far-right militias, some of whom were involved in the Capitol insurrection.
They have not risen to the level of concern of, say, the 3%ers, the Oath Keepers. They have not engaged in violence. In fact, in most of their demonstrations, they have in fact coordinated their activities with police.
CBN News asked the FBI about the NFAC. Officials responded that they have no comment, adding that the FBI does not investigate groups and that their investigations focus solely on criminal activity.
What is the necessity to be heavily armed as the group is?
What do you mean, why the guns? Why not? Everyone else has guns. This country was born out of revolution. We fought over slavery with guns. As a matter of fact, they left the British with guns. As a matter of fact, when the police show up, the first thing they pull out is a gun.
According to Johnson, his group has a few main goals: to protect and police the Black community, to underscore the right of Black Americans to bear arms,
to form the backbone of a military force that would facilitate the exodus from this country of those willing to go somewhere to establish an ethno-nation that's based totally on our culture, gives us the ability to determine our path so that we too can have a seat at the international table like every other race on this planet.
Police officers are killing Black people with impunity, and it doesn't seem like this kind of violence is going to abate unless, of course, Black folk do something to bring about its end.
Dr. Judson Jeffries is professor of African American Studies at The Ohio State University.
So that police understand that, hey, listen, there could be a consequence if I go into Black communities and misbehave. That's missing. That's why I think a group like the NFAC is very important these days.
After the officer who placed a knee on George Floyd's neck was found guilty of murder, Johnson shared this observation with me by phone. Ever since the verdict, there has been a perception of an uptick in law enforcement shootings, Johnson said, which is an expectation because of our relationship between police and culture, or what I call police backlash. Andrew Brown, Ma'Khia Bryant, Daunte Wright, Adam Toledo, all Black, all shot to death by police in the weeks surrounding the verdict. Johnson said, "I find these all to be tragedies. The gun has become the judge, jury, and executioners on American streets. Community policing could have stopped Ma'Khia Bryant from being shot. Community policing could have saved Daunte Wright's life." But that's why the NFAC has emerged, Johnson says, to try to give justice a nudge. And while 18-year-olds can join up, the NFAC is built on a military structure and tends to target mature members in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, some of them veterans. Johnson says there's also extensive training.
There is one state commander in every state, and then there are chapters with chapter commanders. I sit at the top of that pyramid as the Supreme Commander. There are background checks. There are criminal checks. NFAC has a zero record of arrests. We have a zero record of property destruction. We have a zero record of anyone shooting anyone. We have not been, we have a zero record of violence.
Those words spoken before Johnson himself was arrested and federally indicted for allegedly pointing an AR platform rifle at an FBI agent and other law enforcement officers during a Breonna Taylor protest, something he aggressively denies, asserting he was targeted because of who he is. Still, that has not taken the steam out of the NFAC's mission.
This group is basically saying, listen, we're exercising our Second Amendment right with the express purpose of protecting Black folks from the indiscriminate violence by police officers, especially white police officers, who come into our communities and snuff out Black lives prematurely.
We're not anti-Semitic. We're not a hate group. We're not terrorists. We are the response to the continued, repeated injustice against our people. We're not left and we're not right. We are what we said we are.
While Johnson says the group is not political, he himself ran for president back in 2016 as an independent candidate. He says this movement is about justice and not revenge, the key being justice operates within the confines of the law. And he says he insists on the NFAC being a law-abiding organization. In Washington, Eric Phillips, CBN News.